On Travel Explore Celebrate Life today, I and Neil will be speaking about the summer holidays.
For me, summer is basically escaping the summer heat, but that could also mean going to a destination that may be as warm but could have something completely different.
Like I was in Las Vegas and it could be hot, right? But the way the hotels are connected, you don't even have to step out at times to go anywhere. So, yeah.
Indian travelers, you, me, everyone, we don't like the warmth, we like the cold. But sometimes when the cold dips below 5 degrees, we start to not like it as much. So Europe during the months of April, May and June gives you the perfect weather where it's not too hot, not too cold.
On this background, we can say that there can be a lot of different themes for summer as well. Like when you're looking for a holiday, there's a family who wants to go, there's a multi-generational family, maybe it's a solo traveler, maybe it's a couple who've not probably gone on their romantic break or their honeymoon till now, they want to go, or friends wanting to travel together. And there can be lots of different themes. We are ready for our summer travels. I hope everyone else is ready too. We're in April already and Easter is around the corner. Worldwide, everyone's planning their spring break. The tulip gardens in Amsterdam are in full bloom, and so is the rest of Europe. And in India, we are feeling the summer heat already. But hey, the mangoes are also here, and we are all enjoying those. When we think of summer, we always wonder what's the best place to go. This is, of course, when we are the busiest, because we are a travel company and the whole world wants to travel in summer. So, on Travel Explore Celebrate Life today, I and Neil will be speaking about the summer holidays. Neil, summer is a special time, and I was Googling summer holidays, and the first thing that comes up on Google is a lot of the beach.
Yeah.
Right? Everything to do with the pool and the water. But for a lot of people, it also means the mountains. It also means escaping to the snow capped mountains, escaping to Europe, to the US, or other places, or even down south and getting different experiences. What does summer mean to you?
You know, you're you're right when you say that when you Google summer holidays and summer holiday ideas, the first thing you get is beaches. And I think the way Google is programmed in such a way that okay, if it expects you to be a Westerner, it expects you to
True.
be someone from the US or Europe,
Yes.
where summer for you then means that I want to really go to the beach. Now, during the period of the European summer, you see everyone at the beach all across Europe coming to Maldives. Not Maldives, I would say, but other beach destinations. But you're right, in India, summer is hot. And that's why all of us feel like escaping to not only the mountains, but somewhere cold. So I'm actually glad that we are talking about this because when I was researching for this particular topic, it was kind of more about finding the right destination than just talking about the mountains only, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Anil, don't you think it depends on where you are, also where you're located on
yeah,
the earth? Because summer can mean different things for different people. It can mean different times of the year as well.
yeah,
Because for us, April, May is the peak of summer, and then we have the monsoon. Many countries don't experience the monsoon. So for them, April and May become springtime, and then summer is actually starting in June all the way till August or September. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, in Australia or New Zealand, it's actually cold right now.
yeah, it
And
flips.
summer is like December, January, when it's winter for all of us and dark skies. But down there, you can actually have Christmas on the beach. So summer can be different things for different people. And I think, on this background, we can say that there can be a lot of different themes for summer as well. Like when you're looking for a holiday, there's a family who wants to go, there's a multi generational family, maybe it's a solo traveler, maybe it's a couple who've not probably gone on their romantic break or their honeymoon till now, they want to go, or friends wanting to travel together. And there can be lots of different themes. So, what comes to your mind?
I think if you want to start with one theme, I would say let's take adventure.
Sure.
Or adventure does not necessarily mean for me just skydiving, scuba diving, and those extreme adventure activities. I'm saying adventure for me is anything that I can do exciting with my loved ones and that will bring me joy. Right now, if I were to think about adventure, let's say if I have to list different things in down, there are many people who would be listening to this who have never seen snow in their lives, right? Like, then that could mean going to either Kashmir, going to Himachal, and experiencing the
Even
snow.
just sliding down
Yeah,
that
just
mountain on
exactly
snow.
like
Yeah.
having those snowball fights and all of that. That's one cool thing. Now, snow can be experienced in the north of India, but snow can be experienced in Switzerland also, right? So in Switzerland we have Jungfrau Joch, which is the top of Europe. We have Mount Titlis that everyone talks about. I have a lot of my friends who are going to some of the ski towns in France. That comes to mind. Another thing that I would really think about is during this period, like you said, in the southern hemisphere, the weather kind of flips,
Yeah.
and Australia and New Zealand offer you something which is the winter in the months of, I would say, May, June, and
I would
July.
say June, July,
Yeah.
like more after July. Yeah.
And one you might ask is, we are talking about the summer, or we are titling this episode Summertime Special. Why are you talking about June and July? But given that now schools are the state boards, then there's ICSE, CBSE, IB. So summer technically, okay, we are in the middle of April, but summer technically begins in March and goes on, right, in my opinion, until the end of June, if you are to really think about it. So, and at least my statistics say that about 40% of India travels during this period for at least one trip. So, if you have to talk about a theme which is entertaining, fun activities, then to be honest, every single destination gives you something. Like, for the longest time, people used to say that do not go to the UAE during this time because it
Yeah.
gets very hot.
Yeah.
But I could list down 5 places which are completely air conditioned in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and you will not feel the heat at all. Like, and it's entertaining, and you'll probably create memories with your loved ones. One is SeaWorld, second is Warner Brothers on Yas Island, third one is Ferrari World. All three completely air conditioned. If you go to UAE and Abu Dhabi and Dubai, you have Dubai Mall that you can enjoy. You can go to Ski Dubai, that is like skiing in the desert. So it's a
Yeah, in Dubai,
destination.
you could do a
Yeah,
mall a
yeah,
day and
exactly.
stay indoors all the time and, never have to step out. Like I was in Las Vegas and it could be hot, right? But the way the hotels are connected, you don't even have to step out at times to go anywhere. So, yeah, you're right. There's no longer. And plus, I think if you time it right, like if you really plan your day properly, you can go to a hot place also in summer and still enjoy. So, go out early, do things early in the morning, do
Yeah.
some activities, come back in the afternoon, relax, and you've probably spent like thousands on those that staying in a beautiful hotel. Enjoy the pool, enjoy the resort, have a spa, have the pool, enjoy the pool, do something, or just have a good rest. Summer siesta,
Yeah.
and then again in the evening when it cools down, you can step out. So yeah, I think it's not limited anymore that you have to be in a certain
Exactly.
zone or just go to the
Yeah.
cooler areas anymore.
And if you think about it, right, like people often say that, oh, this is not a great time to visit this place because XXX. People say that, oh, you're going to Japan in the month of May? Why are you going there? The cherry blossoms are over.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, the people who go during that period really experience Japan in its all calm sense, in the
The
zen,
Zen mode
yeah,
of
the zen
Japan,
mode,
right?
right? Because
I'm glad you brought this up because, I was thinking, we talked a little bit of themes and you mentioned adventure, and there can be beach, there can be mountain, there can be any theme you like. But you, of course, want to go and see it somewhere.
yeah.
And let's come to the destinations now. You did mention Japan, and we'll continue with that. So, what destinations come to your mind, Neil? Maybe we can start with Japan itself since we were on the topic.
So I mentioned Japan just because everyone wants to go there during the cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
But if you ask any of the Veena World guests or travelers who have done multiple trips to Japan, they will tell you that Japan is one way during the cherry blossoms. Japan is one way during the autumn colors, which happen at the end of the year. And experiencing Japan, not at either of these times, but a completely third different time, gives you a very different perspective. Crowds are fewer. You can spend more time at a destination. You don't have 20 people around you, like just shoving you around because they want to click a photo. So, one, that is great. Second is, if you have been to Japan before, you kind of know what the destination is like. And you will also agree that the second time you go to any destination, you realize that, oh, this is what I had liked, this is what I had not liked. And when we really think about it, the second time is more fun because you don't want to repeat the mistakes that you have done. So Japan is one. Second one, I would say we mentioned at the start of the episode beaches, but kind of we don't want to go to the beaches because we want to go to the mountains. But I had Mauritius on my list. Now, this may be the time of monsoon in the Indian Ocean and everything like that. But if you think about Mauritius, Mauritius is a great destination to go to because connectivity from most of the metro cities in India is direct. Like Mumbai has a direct flight. I think Delhi also has a direct flight. You can get there easily, straight one flight. And one of the best things about Mauritius is probably it's the size of Mumbai or even smaller. And you can go from north, south, east, west and complete it in a day, which means that you're spending lesser time between places, but more time either on the beach or at the resorts. And most of these resorts are all inclusive, right? So whether it's food or drink, everything is included. So for families traveling with kids, it's a great place. And I think I'll let you speak about it more than me speaking about it, was going to Azerbaijan and experiencing Baku, which is often known as the city of winds, as you would have called it. You've
It's a
been
very,
there,
very
yeah.
windy place. And you mentioned Mauritius, Neil, and I think, it's a question of, do I want to go and really pack my itinerary with a lot of things to see? Or do I really want to go and relax and enjoy
Yeah.
and do more things like go scuba diving, go snorkeling, go on the beach and other things? So I think it's a question of choosing what it is that you want to do. Coming to Baku, I think it's as with everything else in India. Earlier, we used to have people traveling only during the summer, and then there was a big gap where no one traveled. More and more, we are becoming year-round travelers, and I think you find a place at every point in the year when you want to travel. The good part about Baku is you can go there all throughout the year. And I can say this because I have been there in December, just before the Christmas markets. It was amazing. I've been there in summer and I've been there in spring as well. And it is really stunning. The good part of going maybe to Baku in March or April or even May is that there is still some snow on the mountains. So you can, if not really roll in snow, but you do have a pretty and beautiful landscape to look at Gabala and other places. And in the city of Baku, the weather's perfect. It looks like a little Paris, like we mentioned on our episodes earlier. And it's always a great time to go there, close to India, good connectivity, the visa is easy, and you can really have a great time. And I think it's a perfect destination for families too, and also like groups of friends traveling together, because most friends traveling together will not go out for 15-20 days, probably want a shorter break. So Baku kind of fits into this whole scheme of things perfectly, and I think that's great. And Neil, that brings up one more point, is to actually travel during, we call it the peak season, but it's peak for the outbound travel from India. It's peak for Indians traveling, but it's probably not the peak destination for that country.
Yeah.
Right? So for most of Europe, it's divided into this very winter and summer thing.
Yeah.
And the activities, you go to any snow mountain, it's either skiing or it's hiking or other things. So
Yeah.
it's in the winter and it's in the summer, and this in between time, which happens to be our summer, is when most of these
It's like the
countries
perfect
are,
slot, right?
yeah, it's the shoulder season,
Yeah.
and we can take advantage of that, get good rates, have lesser and fewer people out there, probably more Indians everywhere, but still
Yeah.
lesser locals in other places, and actually enjoy a destination.
Yeah, like if you think about the graph of Indian travelers traveling to Europe,
Yeah.
it's generally April, May
Yeah.
that gets the bulk of the traffic. But if you get the same graph and plot it on that same chart of Europeans traveling within Europe,
Yeah.
then the months of July, August,
Yes.
and September are crazy.
Yeah.
I was in Italy in the month of August at one point, and the beaches are so crowded that it is difficult to, they call it the beach umbrella, right? Like you have to go rent out a beach umbrella and you can relax there. So if you don't go in the mornings, you won't get a beach umbrella, and if you don't get a beach umbrella, you're just stuck. It's boiling,
sunburned
right?
probably.
And I think Indian travelers, you, me, everyone, we don't like the warmth, we like the cold. But sometimes when the cold dips below 5 degrees, we start to like not like it as much. So Europe during the months of April, May, and June gives you the perfect weather where it's not too hot, not too cold, and I think it kind of gets,
Travel with
yeah,
one light jacket, keep your bag really light, so
yeah,
packing becomes so much easier, and you'll probably buy stuff there and
and
come back. So
it's
you don't have to have heavy bags to lug around everywhere, right?
exactly.
Which actually brings me to the next thing, Neil. We've seen your travel tips, and
No, but
everyone's
wait,
been.
like I've not
Uh
finished
huh.
my
Okay.
list of destinations. We spoke
Sure.
about across the world.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about India as much,
Right.
right?
Of course.
From the month of May, it kind of becomes, starts with opening up. The Khardungla Pass opens up, the Changla Pass opens up, and people start going there after the harsh winters. And our tours also start going there. Every single day, we will have departures to Leh Ladakh. And I had Leh Ladakh on the list after, of course, seeing that on the website, just because it is the perfect destination to go to in May, in June, July, August, September, of course. But these two become super nice times to go.
Shoulder season
Yeah, the
again.
shoulder
Best
season.
time. Yeah.
And there are just like three, four things that I like doing. Having Maggie at one of the
Yeah.
cafes, going to Pangong and looking at the Three Idiots spot. Leh Ladakh
Yeah.
was one more sector. Now,
Yes.
you might again say beach, summer, what do you do? But
A lot
The
actually.
Andaman Islands tend to like shut off during the monsoons,
Yeah.
right? Because the ferries don't work and all of these things. But if you go before that, you have the beach in its
Yeah.
like the best glory. You have Havelock, you have Neil Island, you have Port Blair, and all of these places. But one of the good things of going to Andaman Nicobar Islands in the summers, of course, the winters are great, but in the summers also, is that the sun is shining, which means you have perfect light for the best photos that you would like to click. And if you think about the islands, right? Yes, it can be warm, but at the same time, the islands have a lot of tree cover, so you're kind of not in the sun like all the time. You're just enjoying it. So
You know, you mentioned Andaman, you mentioned Mauritius, and the good part about islands is that whether it is summer, whether it's the rains, it doesn't last for too long. The rains are usually a shower, you experience a shower and it's gone. So you can just be indoors for some time and then come out and enjoy the destination again.
yeah.
And with summer also, with the cool breeze that blows, it's often it's a lot of fun, like you said, just lie on your hammock, just wait out the afternoon and then enjoy in the evening again. So that's one thing. And I'm glad you brought up India, because for a lot of us, it's very difficult to plan way in advance. As it is, we are known to be late bookers as Indians. And then finally, when you can take a break, you don't have enough time to do a visa.
Yeah.
And then India is the best place to go, because we can just book our flights or take a train ticket and go wherever we want to. We don't need to really prepare too much to go to any of these destinations. So that really fits in perfectly.
But you mentioned travel tips, right? And just right now, you said you don't need to plan. But because so much of India kind of travels during this time, I would like to make one thing clear that, okay, when you think of India, you want to book later and you want to just like book 5 days in advance and you can go. Definitely, you can go. But during this period, if you leave it till so late,
Sure.
you will
You be
have
ready to pay a hefty price
pay
for
a
it, for
hefty
sure.
price. You will have hotels that may be sold out and you may not get the hotels that are your first preference, right? And that's why we often tell travelers that book in advance for the summers, just because it will get sold out. And literally every newsletter, every article, every ad that we put out, we just have this statement like book before it's sold out, because the summer is when everyone feels like
I
traveling.
agree,
Yeah.
and you're right. That is the way to do it. I think what I meant was that when you are not able to plan early,
Yeah.
then the best place to think about a holiday is
Yeah,
India.
yeah, yeah.
But let's go to the tips now. You've already given us one tip, which is to book early and make sure you have everything. And maybe a better way to do it would be book everything that's refundable or with minimum cancellation, even if your plans are not ready,
Yeah.
and then go ahead. But Neil, let's come to some other tips when you're traveling, because I think a lot of us, those who would have booked early, would be getting ready to go on their holidays now.
Yeah.
So, what are some tips for them?
Well, if you think about tips in general, right? I would say that one is try to travel smart during the summers, because you want to have least baggage, right? And if you're traveling in the summer to a place that is not so cold, try to have lighter clothes so that you're not carrying 4 bags along with you. If you're going to Europe, you may have a stroller bag, but you have to also remember that Europe has cobblestone streets. And if you have cobblestone streets, a stroller bag is one going to get damaged, and then you'll probably not know how to repair a wheel in Europe somewhere, and it's going to cost you a few euros. But at the same time, plan your suitcases according to the destination that you're going to, according to the hotel you're staying at, because you may have porto service or may not have porto service. So that was the first thing. Second thing is, crowds at airports are going to be more than normal. And that means that if the crowds at airports are more than normal, you want to get through the airport fast. So the first thing everyone will tell you that, oh, reach the airport in advance. Yes, of course. Get to the airport 2 hours before a domestic flight. Get to the airport 3.5 hours before an international flight. But if you're flying domestically, I would say do your Digi Yatra registration, and you will also agree that,
Best.
yeah, just upload your
You feel
boarding
so
pass.
proud when you just walk, your
Exactly.
face and you're in.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's one. Like, do your Digi Yatra, because you upload that boarding pass and it scans it, and suddenly you walk to the airport. You don't have to stand in that separate line where the border security force is actually looking at your Aadhaar card. You don't need anything. You stand in line, it scans your face, it's done. Okay, so the next one, we spoke about Digi Yatra.
Yeah.
Now, once you get into the airport, a simple one is do your web check-in and select your seat in advance. Often people
Right.
think that, I don't want to pay for that window seat. I don't want to pay for that aisle seat. Or people who are tall like me don't want to pay for the XL seat, because you think that you'll go to the airport and you'll probably get the seat. You're right that you might get the seat. But if you want to be 100% sure, then just make sure you check in early and block that seat. And that check-in can be when, of course, check-in opens, or you go onto the website and do the manage booking and select that seat. That was one. Another thing is, it's always good to go to the counter and ask if there are upgrades available. So if you're traveling on Air India, you might be able to upgrade to premium economy or business. If you're traveling on Indigo, Mumbai, Delhi, all of the flights have Indigo stretch now. If you're traveling outside of India, you have all different classes of upgrades available. But why I say check for upgrades is, often if a seat is empty in business class, the airline may be willing to give you an upgrade for a lesser price than what you were otherwise going to do when you were booking the ticket. So ask for upgrades. Another thing, or the next tip that I had, and I know I'm talking about a lot of tips, but another tip that I had on my list was that along with Digi Yatra, now there is something called fast track immigration that the government has started. So you just have to Google fast track immigration. It takes you to a website, a government website. You have to register there. And see, there are four lines that you stand at the airport, right? First is to get in. Now, Digi Yatra has solved that. If you web check in, then you don't have to stand in the check-in line.
Right.
The third line that you have to stand is security. But security is getting more efficient, so nothing can be done out there. Fourth one is immigration. Now, immigration lines, if you want to not stand, then register yourself for fast track immigration. And once fast track immigration you register, you have to go to the immigration counter, which is dedicated for that. They will do a one-time scan of your face and of your fingerprints. And the next time you come into India or are traveling outside of India, you don't have to stand in immigration lines. And then there is the boarding line that you have to stand in, right? And if you're traveling things like Indigo or Air India, and if you are still economy class, Indigo offers fast track. So take that fast track service, you don't have to stand in that line. If you're traveling business class or first class, you don't have to stand in any of the lines for any of the carriers. So those were some of the tips that I had when it comes to the airport. I had two more, and then I'll just pass it on to you. One was, when you're traveling around, right? More people are going to be traveling, which means sightseeing places will have more crowds, right? During this time, it's always good to keep your backpack not behind you, but it should become a front pack, because
Sometimes it seems like it's just common sense, right? But we forget when we are at the destination.
Yeah, like-
we forget to do it unless you really plan or make a habit out of it.
Yeah.
You just out of your old habits, you would put it back and keep walking like that, and then repent later.
I guess so sometimes I take the train home, right? So that time you have to keep the backpack in front. So anyone who's been traveling by train a lot, they'll naturally keep their backpack at the front. But for anyone, if you're at a sightseeing place, it's always good to keep the backpack at the front, because those zips can be easily opened. Your wallet also should be in your front pocket or in the backpack. And when you're traveling internationally, you have to remember that golden rule that if you lose your passport, it's over, right? So just take care of your passport. But when I say take care, not that it can get stolen, but there should not be any water that gets into it, or you can't drop any food on it, because any stain means that it's a damaged passport. And the moment it's a damaged passport, you probably can't travel anywhere. And we all know that, even if getting a new passport is easy now, it's still steps that you have to do. So these were some of the steps that I just wanted to, or tips that I wanted to talk about, because with every single plane that you take, with every single holiday that you take, I think you have an opportunity to become a smarter traveler.
Yeah.
But as I see at airports, not everyone really takes that opportunity. And actually, one more thing, if the plane has landed and is still on the runway, don't
That's
stand.
your
We
favorite.
were we were on a
Yes.
Delhi flight 2 days
Yeah.
ago, and you saw how many people stood up, right? Like that is like
Like it's going to
something.
get everyone faster.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So
Take your
yeah,
time.
those were some of the things. And yeah, like we've discussed so many destinations and so many tips on this, but yeah, like I just thought that I should share all of it.
Sure, Neil, and I just want to add one more, which is make sure your shoes are not new.
Yeah.
Make sure you bought them. We've spoken of this a lot, but I think it's important to keep reminding people because everyone's busy and you put off planning for your trip or buying things for your trip till like the last day, and then you say, oh, I need new shoes. That's not going to work. So make sure you have those, you've broken into them and they are comfortable. And on tour, make sure that everyone has a lot of water.
Yeah.
You just had a glass of water, and I think we tend to do that in like warmer climates, but when it's cold we forget and then we are
Keep
dehydrated,
yourself
and then
hydrated.
we wonder why we are so tired. So I think those are a few things that should nicely round up and sum up the tips that you've shared. So I think today's been great. We are ready for our summer travels. I hope everyone else is ready too. And these were a few ideas for your summer travel. And to everyone who's listening, let us know where you went this summer. Keep writing to us and share your favorite destination for summer. My email is sunila@veenawat.com. That's SUNILA @veenawat.com. And Neil's, of course, is neil@veenawat.com. That's NEIL@veenawat.com. We will see you soon in another episode. Until then, enjoy your summer. Bye bye.